Good evening, everyone. This is Reverend Mona Fitch Elliott, and I'm a pastor at St. John's Lutheran Church in Jersey City. Uh, you might know me as a pastor, or maybe you don't know me, but I just introduced myself as a pastor. But there was a time not too long ago when I was considered a criminal in the state of New Jersey because my license was suspended. All of those times when I was without my license, sometimes I felt very alone. I felt like, I was alone out there on the bus platform, in the bus station. I was alone, waiting for trains and things like that late at night or early in the morning. I was never alone. There are 300,000 people who have suspended driver's license for failure to pay or failure to appear. Some of that is economic. Some of it is just fear. Across the country, this practice of suspending people's driver's license is changing in places like Virginia, Mississippi, California. In Virginia, New Jersey Together sister organization has led the fight and automatically reinstated 600,000 driver's license in just this past year. But I'm going to tell you a little bit about my story. When I finally got up the courage to go and address this issue of my suspended license, by this time my license had expired. It had been revoked. So I had to go to all these different municipalities in South Jersey, and I had moved back up to North Jersey. And I remember in one particular case, I was in the courtroom and the judge says to me, well, I could fine you $1,000 for every year that you have not addressed this. So he says, do you work? And he says, where have you been, all these years? And I said, well, I moved. I don't live in South Jersey anymore. And yes, I work. I'm the pastor of a church. Well, this judge had not looked at me until that moment. Then he lifted up his head and he said, oh, you answer to a different authority. And everybody in the courtroom laughed. And then he said, I'm going to charge you $500, go see the prosecutor. Now, the problem with that is that I'm a pastor. I'm not a criminal, but there are people who are not pastors and who maybe are on probation or have have lost their job because they couldn't get to work. And I'm not alone in this situation. These are 300,000 people that we're talking about. So, as I mentioned, there have been places in states that have changed these laws. And this year, new legislation needs to be put forth in New Jersey to follow in these states' footsteps and stop the suspension of driver's license for failure to pay and failure to appear. We need to change these policies. We need new legislation.